Welcome to Behind the Illness with Allie V. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Behind the Illness. If you're new, my name is Allie, and I am awkward, and I'm weird, and I really love psychology, so why not start a podcast on it? There you go. So I am really excited. Well, before I get to that, I'll say season 2 has been all about book reviews so far. Later on, I'll be getting into movies, maybe even music. And then season 3 I've got plans for it. I'm not going to tell y'all too much. I don't want to tell y'all too much. So I've got plans, but season 2, definitely just talking about books, movies, music, all having to do with mental health. So I'm doing my last book this episode, and it's called Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. So last week I talked about Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. This one is considered the sequel to Reasons to Stay Alive. So I am really excited to talk about this one, just like I was last week. Matt Haig has really turned into pretty much my favorite author. I love his work, and like I said last week, I love his writing style, all that good stuff. I have nothing bad to say about Matt Haig. So I put the link on the website behindtheillness.com/links so that you can just go to it and buy it from Amazon. And yeah, so like I've said the past 3 weeks, these authors don't know me. They didn't ask me to do this. And I bought the books with my own money. So yeah, let's get started. This one's about like social media and things like that. And I do apologize for anything in the background. I have no quiet place to record today. So my dogs are making little noises in the background. So I apologize. But anyway, Notes on Nervous Planet is about social media and dealing with your mental health regarding social media. So yeah, let's get started and really dig into it. Hey everyone, Allie V here. If you haven't heard about Anchor, you are seriously missing out. Anchor is the easiest way to create a podcast, and guess what? It's free. You can record from your laptop, desktop, iPad, or phone, and then after that, Anchor does the hard work for you. It distributes your podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Even with low listener counts, you can still make money. What? So what are you waiting for? Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, everybody. So as always, everybody knows I'm pretty much pretty transparent. So I'll say, I've got little note cards here that I'll be reading off of. So I apologize. I'm getting better. I really feel like I'm getting better with, recording and getting really comfortable with, what I want to say and just getting my point across, really. I still got to work on some things, but hopefully y'all are sticking with me because I can promise y'all that I'm getting better. I'm still a new podcaster, but as we keep going and y'all keep listening, I don't see this podcast going anywhere anytime soon, at least. So yeah, so I've got my notes here. That was the whole point of that little ramble. I've got my notes, but just like the past 3 weeks, I am going to read the back of the book, and just so I don't screw it up, just like I always say. Okay. So the world is messing with our minds. Rates of stress and anxiety are rising. A fast, nervous planet is creating fast and nervous lives. We are more connected, and yet we feel more alone. And we are encouraged to worry about everything from world politics to our body mass index. How can we stay sane on a planet that makes us mad? How do we stay human in a technological world? How do we feel unhappy when we are encouraged to be anxious? After experiencing years of anxiety and panic attacks, these questions become urgent matters of life and death for Matt Haig, and he began to look for the link between what he felt and the world around him. Notes on a Nervous Planet is a personal and vital look at how to feel happy, human, and whole in the 21st century. So there was no way that I could have described that to y'all like the back of the book does. So I guess anytime I do a book review, I'm just going to read the back of the book, just to, yeah. So basically, just like the description said, this book is about living in a world of, like technology and social media and having these unreal expectations based on what you see on social media. And none of them are good. I mean, I can't say that any of them are good. You feel like if you see somebody else that's the weight that you want to be, then you feel like you're a failure. Like, that was never supposed to be the point of social media. And I feel comfortable saying that because social media is supposed to just keep us social, keep us connected. But it's turned us, I say us because I want to include myself, like it's turned us into some monsters even. People are just like keyboard warriors and, cyber bullies. I mean, it's living in this kind of world where we're on social media, we've got technology, we've got smartphones. If you're not on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, then man, you're not in the loop, but honestly, and I say that as somebody that has all of those accounts, honestly, you're better off. You're better off without them. So, I mean, getting through that, getting through the expectations of what social media presents to us just makes us more depressed and more anxious and lowers our self-esteem so much. And honestly, I'll just, frankly, it sucks. Like, there's so many times where I've said, oh, I just need to get off social media. I hate social media. I hate being this connected to people. Like, it's better to remain a mystery than it is for a lot of people to just know everything about you. And I also say that as somebody that is very transparent on social media for the cause that I fight for, though. And there are times where I've written a status on Facebook that I wish that I could have either not pressed send on or deleted it before even one person saw it, because it embarrasses me that much. I talk about my depression and all that, and I'm not one for, needing sympathy from people. I used to, but now I just like, as long as I have myself and the people that truly care about me, then nobody else needs to know that stuff. I'll keep fighting for mental health and keep fighting for my cause, but people don't really need to know deep down into it. I'm very open with having depression and having anxiety. But getting down deep into it, like I have kind of just, shown the world. I am embarrassed of that, but back to the book. I kind of rambled off for a second there. So basically what Matt Haig talks about in this book, he really talks about a lot, honestly. I'm going to go to the table of contents here. But it's such a good book. Like, okay, so I really want y'all to get both Reasons to Stay Alive and Notes on a Nervous Planet and, like, read it with me. Like, we can do, like, a Zoom. You know what? That'd be a really good idea. I'm just having this off the top of my brain. We could have, like, a Zoom meeting, but we'd record it for the podcast. and we can just talk about these books. I don't know. That's just me getting random ideas. But okay, so out of the table of contents, I'll read just a couple about like what he talks about. So a stressed out mind in a stressed out world, life overload, internet anxieties, shock of the news, um, what the end of reality, um, everything you are is enough, that kind of stuff. And I mean that last one is the last chapter, and after he has already talked about all this stuff that he's just trying to get it through our thick heads that you don't need a stranger's opinion, that you're enough just the way you are. And even if you're dealing with something really crappy right now, you know you're still allowed to get help for that, but it doesn't make you any less of a person. So I mean, that's really what he's talking about. I think that's definitely something that I try to preach, is even to myself. It's like I have such a hard time with that, that dealing with that expectation of how I feel like I should be just based on social media. I'm too much on social media. I'm on it way too much. I'll be the first one to admit that. And I know that a lot of people on my friends list on Facebook are on social media too much, at least Facebook. And I'm not throwing any shade. I'm not throwing any judgment. Like, you do you. But I feel like when you're too deep into what's going on Facebook, or even what's going on in the news, to where it's going to give you a negative mindset throughout the day, even every day, like, you're on social media too much. You need to take a step back, put your phone down, and go outside or something, or turn on a movie that can help you just slow your mind down, because we're too much into it. And it's really hard to get out of as well, because like I said, I've said so many times, I just need to shut down my account, or even just take a break from Facebook. And then maybe, I mean, I check my Facebook probably about 10, 12, 15 times a day. I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. And, I can say, okay, I'm taking a Facebook break. I'll let everybody know so that way they don't worry about me, even though some of them don't care, but whatever. Uh, I say, okay, I'm taking a Facebook break. I'll see y'all in a week. And then I come back to, even just 2 days later, and I'm like, dang, I couldn't stay away. So I guess I'm back. And it's like embarrassing. But I mean, I know I'm not the only one with an addiction to social media. I just wish that I didn't. I'd rather be outside and just enjoying life rather than this, like, like non-reality. Is that even a word? I don't know. It's a word today. Non-reality of what Facebook is presenting. So, but I mean, as for the news, just keeping up with the news and stuff, like, there's only so much that I think that we can handle. And it's good to stay in the know. It's good to stay, on top of the news, knowing what's going on, but it's not okay to just consume it. Like, don't just consume the news. It's not good, because the news, and I'll say this at the risk of sounding like, I don't know, whatever people call each other, a snowflake, whatever. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But the media absolutely just paints this unreal picture of what could be going on. So, and that's all I'll say about it, because that's all that I really pay attention to. I know that not everything is just black and white like that. Like, there's some stuff going on in the middle. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's okay to turn off the news. And I feel like that was one of the best decisions I ever did. Is I pretty much stopped watching the news. Even when my parents would watch it in the living room and I was in there, I would just kind of look down at my phone and find something to do, even if it was Facebook. Like Facebook has was my kind of out for that. But there's limits to everything. So, and I mean, they would just watch the news just to watch the news. Like they want to stay in the know. But I stopped watching the news. I pay attention to the weather. That's it. So, I mean, if you feel like the news is a trigger for depression or even anxiety, turn it off. There's nothing wrong with turning off the news. It's okay to turn off the news. I had to get that through my thick head because I felt like I just needed to stay on top of things, stay on top of things. And while that's okay, it was getting to me way more than it needed to be. And that's why I stopped watching the news. And, I get my news now on, other ways, but I'm super careful about what I read and also how I react to it. I don't just believe what I read. I'll get both sides of the story now. If it's something that I need to get both sides on. But if it's something that is not going to matter tomorrow, okay, just keep going. Like, don't pay attention. Really. It's so depressing. Like, we rarely get any good positive news these days. And it really sucks. During the quarantine, John Krasinski, who is an actor, he played Jim on The Office, of course. I hope that y'all know that. That's one of my favorite shows. He started like this internet show called Some Good News. And I loved that idea. And I wish I had thought of it, but he pulled it off a lot better than I would have anyway, so it was cool. But I thought that was really cool, and it was nothing but good news. And that's what we need. We need that good news. So if you don't see the good news, if you feel like you're getting anxious, if you feel like you're getting depressed, it's okay to turn off the news. There's no shame in not watching the news, and there's no shame in staying off of social media, and there's no shame in just kind of becoming a mystery to people. I mean, excuse me. I don't say that like, disconnect completely. I don't know, like I do say that. Like it's like disconnect because you need it for your own mental health. But if, be accessible, I guess, to like your family and friends. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, even that, let them know like, hey, I need to take a mental health break. There's no shame in doing that either. And turn off your phone and do your thing. Do your thing, whatever you do to reach homeostasis again. You do what you got to do. It's too messed up of a world and of a life right now for you to not take care of yourself. So whatever you got to do to reach that balance, you do that as long as it's healthy. Like I'm not going to say go out and do something bad or something. Like don't do that because that's not going to cause you homeostasis anyway. But it's you just do what you got to do. And I trust y'all to make good decisions when I say that. So, okay, so my notes say page 60. So I'll be reading something off page 60. Okay, so this is how to stop worrying about aging. I think that's a big thing. That was something that I worried about even just 5 years ago. I will be 30 in October of this year. And I am being totally honest with, okay, so before it scared me, I'm like, ew, 30, that's old. But it's not, okay. And now I don't think that I could even care less about turning 30. I'm kind of looking forward to turning 30 because it's a new decade and it's going to be a fresh start for me. And there's not going to be any more toxic people in my life. I'm going to start setting even more boundaries than I have. I mean, like, aging is a good thing. And Matt Haig talks about it a little bit. He's got 6 points of how to stop worrying about aging. So I'll just read the first line. Understand that old people aren't actually that worried about old age. Excuse me. Number 2, it happens. Aging is something we can't do much about. We can eat healthily, exercise, and live sensibly, but we still age. Our 80th birthday will still be on the same date. Okay, so I read a little bit more than that, but number 3, the problems you associate with old age might not be the problems you have. I like that one. Number 4, the future isn't real. The future is abstract. The now is all we know. Number 5, you will regret the fear. In the top 5 regrets of the dying, Bronnie Ware, a nurse who worked in palliative care, shared her experience of talking to those near the end of their lives. Far and away, the biggest regret they had was fear. So, okay, I read a little bit more than that one too. And number 6, embrace, don't resist. The way to get rid of age anxiety might be the way you get rid of all anxiety, by acceptance, not denial. Don't fight it, feel it. So I like that. I felt like that was an important part of the book because, like I said, everybody just worries about aging and, living in this technological world. They're worried about, man, what if I don't look like that? Or they've got that influence of, getting like surgeries and all that stuff done. And I mean, if that's what you want to do, then like I said, you do you, but you shouldn't feel the need to. Like, it's not, we all get old and that's just how it is. So okay, so page 84 I've got. I do like this one because it's the good things about the internet. We're always talking about all the bad things about the internet, but Matt Haig talks about the good things, and he's got a lot of great points to it. So I'll probably end up reading all of them because it's a really short list, but it's a good size list as well. Okay, so things I love about the internet. Collective action against social injustice. Watching old music videos I had forgotten about. That would be fun to do, actually. Especially like the older the better, because they're so like far out wild. Like, oh my goodness. Why did they wear clothes back then like that? Anyway, watching movie trailers without having to be in a movie theater. Wikipedia, Spotify, BBC Good Food Recipes. The process of researching a trip away. Goodreads. I agree with that one. Finding people who understand what you feel like when you are low. Love that one. Talking to readers I would otherwise never talk to. Friendliness, which does happen quite a lot. Watching videos of animals doing incredible things, like a gorilla dancing in a pool or an octopus opening a jar. I like watching animal videos as well. Being able to go up to people via email or a message in a way I wouldn't be able to in real life. Funny tweets, staying in touch with old friends, the ability to test out ideas with people. Really good yoga instructors from Austin, Texas, whose practices I can follow without living in Austin, Texas. Equally good cool down stretch running videos and researching the downsides of the internet via the internet. So I really like that. I mean, a lot of that stuff I agree with. I mean, I agree with all of it. Like Spotify, I use Spotify every single day, every single day. But friendliness, I'm always talking to friendly people. I mean, I've talked to a lot of mean people on social media. Let's see, I've been on social media since 2006. Yeah, MySpace days. So that's 14 years. And I mean, I've talked to a lot of mean people and rude people, and Sorry, that was my dog again. And but I've talked to even more nice people. I mean, we're bad about that grouping, just grouping in general. We're just bad about that. So yeah. Okay, so next point. Helps if I don't go past the page. Sorry. Okay, so this is what I was saying. I guess I got it from this book, maybe unconsciously, because I just started talking about being a mystery. And when I took the notes, you know, it must have been unconscious, but excuse me, sorry. So he says be a mystery, and stay human. Really, don't put, like, if you want to put your whole life on social media, that's fine, but sometimes it's going to bite you in the butt, and it's better to just be a mystery. I say that as being as transparent as I am on the internet, but believe it or not, and if you're listening and you're a Facebook friend of mine, believe it or not, I don't put everything on the internet. And I say that because if you are a Facebook friend, then you know how much I do put on the internet. But there are still things that I don't put on the internet because there are things that I don't want people to know. But the things with depression and all that stuff, like, I don't know, it helps me, but it also helps people realize why I do what I do with advocating for mental health, and with how I was treated as a child. And I'm just this huge advocate for your past does not dictate your future, because my past is honestly is pretty crappy. Just from things that happened at school, and you know whatever. And now I am talking to you in a podcast where it just kind of blows my mind. Because if you had asked me, or if you had even asked one of my teachers growing up from kindergarten to 8th grade, or really 7th grade, if you had asked one of those teachers, would Allie be hosting a podcast in 2020, or in whatever year, would Allie be hosting a podcast, they would probably laugh in your face. And I know only a couple of them would say she's not going to do anything. You'll have a couple say, I believe in her and she can do whatever she puts her mind to. A lot of them would say that, but I would have a couple that would just kind of laugh in your face. If you had asked me if I would be hosting a podcast, I would be like, first of all, what's a podcast? That was a joke. But I would say no. Like, no, I'm not. No. If it has to do with talking, are you crazy? No. Get away from me. It's my past does not dictate my future. And I know I got off on that, and I apologize. I'll get back into it, but it's it, it's really cool to see how much I have developed over the years. So anyway, so here is page 104, How to Be Happy. I love this one. This is probably the best chapter in the whole book. It's just called How to Be Happy. It's got 7 lines. Number 1, do not compare yourself to other people. Number 2, do not compare yourself to other people. Number 3, do not compare yourself to other people. Okay, so you're picking up on what I'm saying now. 4 through 7, do not compare yourself to other people. And social media does that to us, but That's why we have to be strong, and we just have to either disconnect or, man, like it's like it almost takes training, sort of. And I feel like that is what therapy is for, in a way. It just, I have a very hard time with not comparing myself to other people. And I even talked about it last week, talking about Matt Haig and how I wanted to write like him. And I would compare my writing to his writing, but I mean, good Lord, Allie, he's a professional writer. You're not. It's, there's no point in comparing yourself to other people. And there's no point in copying somebody else, because you are your own person. You are your own unique person. And why be somebody else when you can be yourself? Because you're freaking amazing, you know? Even even if you're a crappy human, I wasn't going to say this, but even if you're a crappy human, you're still yourself. I mean, come on. We're all just super different from each other. We can have the same likes and passions, but we are different. And that is what makes us special. That's what makes you special. So do not compare yourself to other people. Just can't do it. Okay, so now we're going to go to page 120. I am going to probably go ahead and read all of it just because it's so important. But I still want y'all to buy the book. I really want to have like a book club type thing. Like, I'm really serious about that, but whatever. Okay, so it's called Imagine. Imagine if we had a day where we called human beings. Not nationalities first, not the religion they follow, not British, not American, not French, not German, not Iranian, not Chinese, not Muslim, not Christian, not Asian, not black, not white, not man, not woman, not gang member, not CEO of Coca-Cola, not mother of three, not historian, not economist, not Twitter user, not consumer, not Star Trek fan, not author, not age 17 or 39 or 83, not conservative, not liberal. Change it all to human. The way we see all turtles as turtles. Human. Make ourselves see what we pretend to know. Remind ourselves that we are an animal united as a species existing on this tender blue speck in space, the only planet that we know of containing life. Bathe in the corny, sentimental miracle of that. Define ourselves by the freakish luck of not only being alive, but being aware of it. That we are here, right now, on the most beautiful planet we'll ever know. A planet where we can breathe and live and fall in love and eat peanut butter on toast and say hello to dogs and dance to music and read Bonjour Triste, I don't know how to say that, sorry, and binge watch TV dramas and notice the sunlight accentuated by hard shadow on a building and feel the wind and the rain on our tender skin and look after each other and lose ourselves in daydreams and night dreams and dissolve into the sweet mystery of ourselves. A day where we are essentially precisely as human as one another. Like, yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. I have loved that one since I read that, and that's why I wanted to read the whole thing, because don't think that I don't think it'd be right to leave any of them out because it's just so important what he said. Um, so this is this next one that he talks about is super important. It's also something I deal with. I think it's something that a lot of people deal with. So I'll read it. The paradox of modern life is this: we have never been more connected, and we have never been more alone. And man, I feel like in my own little interpretation of that, it would be, we have all these friends on Facebook and all these followers on Twitter, all these followers on Instagram, whatever else there is, and you add them all up and you can get thousands upon thousands, maybe even millions if you're, you know, a famous or whatever. And yet we still feel alone. And that is because, and I say that because I've dealt with it. I still deal with it daily. Like, we cannot expect people to have the same heart that we do. I feel like this is not exactly what he's saying. But it also kind of is. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my train of thought, but it's like you can have all these, you know, virtual friends, but the people that are in real life, those numbers are shrinking. We're all uh, we're we're social beings, but at the same time we're not. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to define because why are we such social beings? We want to get out and do stuff, but yet we don't want to get out and socialize. Like, we want to be social, but we don't want to socialize, right? And I definitely have a problem with that. I feel like, I personally have, I think maybe 600 friends on Facebook, and I feel like maybe a handful of them actually truly care about me. And because I just, for some reason, I can't get it through my thick head to not expect for other people to do the same thing that I would do for them in reaching out. If I knew something was going on, it breaks my heart. And I break my own heart every single time. Every single time. And you just feel like you're lonely in this just big, huge crowd of people. And just a sea of faces. It's unreal. And that's why I think that social media is hurting us, because we're too dependent on it for socialization, and we we talk to people on Facebook rather than just calling them and talking to them on the phone or even texting them. And I'm bad about it too. Obviously, I've got social anxiety, so it's a little harder for me. But I mean, it's the point, but it's not really the point. It's like being lonely in this big crowd of people. Like I said, I mean, you can be surrounded by so many people, and yet you still feel like you're the only one there. And it's really sad because social media has turned us into these unsociable beings when we were made to socialize. So take that thought as you will. Um, I feel like I've been saying for a little while now that social media is really bad for our mental health. So, and on that note, actually, I'm going to page 146 of Notes on a Nervous Planet. So, just to, kind of get more into that, of what I said, but also what Matt Haig is saying in this one. He says, how to own a smartphone and still be a functioning human being. And he's got so many great points that I will read them all. I think he's got 10. Yes, 10. Okay. So number 1, don't feel like you always have to be there. We can choose not to feel that obligation. We can sometimes just let them wait. You do not have to get right back on a text. You do not have to feel that obligation of immediately responding to a text. And I'm bad about that too. But, all I can say is that, everything that I'm talking about makes me realize that I'm bad about everything too. I'm not just trying to judge you for what you're doing wrong, whatever. But I'm just as bad. I promise you. I'm going to admit that I'm just as bad. So, number 2, turn off notifications. Okay. So I did this. I did it on Twitter. I did it on Instagram. And I don't think I ever had notifications. No, I don't know if I did for Facebook, but I don't get notifications from Facebook for a reason. But I had them on for Twitter, just for a couple people. I turned them off. It made me get on Twitter, read what they were saying, and then just get kind of deep into it. And sometimes what one of those people were saying was a not good thing to read. And so I had to turn off notifications, and I haven't gone back since. That's probably been, I don't know, maybe close to a year that I did that. And so my phone's not just blowing up all the time with notification after notification. You know, games that you get on your phone or apps that you get on your phone, if you don't need the notification, do not press allow. I mean, because the more that you press allow on each app that you get, the more that your phone's going to go off at any moment of the day, and you're going to want to reach down and pick it up and look at it. No, just put your phone down. When you get a call or a text, then you can pick it up. But if you don't feel like calling right back or texting right back, you can put your phone right back down. Just make sure you don't forget, because I've done that before. But I'm just saying, like, society has set these rules, and they're not even rules. They're not rules that we have to abide by. We can make our own rules. You know what I mean? I trust you to know what I mean. Okay. Number 3, have times of the day where you're not beside your phone. I'm really bad at that one. I have my phone with me everywhere. It's either right next to me or in my pocket. And actually, it's right next to me to my left on my desk. And I am one of those people that feels naked without their phone if I don't bring it somewhere. Even if I go outside and go get the mail, like from the front, I feel like I have to have my phone, because it's that weight in my pocket, I guess. I don't really know. And I always say the excuse of, what if I see a really pretty flower and I want to take a picture of it? You know, it's silly excuses. But number 4, don't press the home button to check the screen every 2 minutes for texts. Practice feeling the urge to check and don't. I've had to do that a lot too. Number 5, don't tie your anxiety levels to how much power you have left on your phone. That's a good one. I don't really do that. Um, and I guess it's just because I really always have a charger. So that ties into it. It's like, okay, so I always have a charger, so my phone's not going to die, so I don't have to worry about that. But it can totally tie into it. Number 6, don't swear at your phone. Okay, so I'll read this whole one. Don't swear at your phone. Don't plead with your phone. Don't bargain with your phone. Don't throw your phone across the room. It is indifferent to your feelings. If the phone has no signal or no power, it is not because it hates you. It is because it is an inanimate object. It is, in short, a phone. I thought that one was funny. Excuse me. Number 7, don't put your phone by the bed. Yeah, I do that. It's my alarm clock. And actually, he mentions that. He says most people sleep with their phone by the bed because they've replaced alarm clocks. So I'm bad about that. Number 8, practice app minimalism. I have been trying to do that. I have a lot of apps on my phone, but I don't have nearly as many as I used to. I mean, I would have like pages. This was before you could put them in little folders, on the iPhone. Before you could put them in folders, that was years ago. So I would just have pages and pages of apps. And some of them I don't even use. I have that problem right now. Like, some of them I don't even use. So here and there, I'll go in and figure out what I don't use, and I'll go ahead and delete them. And that makes me have a little bit less of a need to check my phone. I mean, it's just simple things like that you can kind of, correlate into being on your phone too much. So, number 9, don't try to multitask. We have phones that can do everything from map read to tune our guitars, and it's tempting to imagine that we can do as many things and all at once. So, number 10, accept uncertainty. The temptation to check your phone is down to uncertainty. That's what makes it so addictive. You want someone to get back to your text, but you don't know if they have. You want to check. You want to see the promise and mystery of the three little circles dancing with hope. You want to know how your photo or status update is going down. But why do we need to know right now? Why can't it wait until after your nap or your meeting or your walk or your TV show or your meal or your daydream? Like, he's he brings up so many good points. It's just unreal. And that's why I'm asking y'all to just buy the whole book, because I wish I could read just the whole book to you, but I'm not going to do that. Because one, I think that would be illegal. I'm not sure. I don't know legal issues. But also two, I don't wanna. I just don't. Okay. So there is a quote. I've actually been learning about this guy. His name's Carl Jung. He says, "In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." And I love that. I love that. Y'all, if you have an interpretation of that, let me know. Let me know, because I really want to kind of bounce ideas off of each other of what, with like different interpretations. So I'll read it again. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. So yeah, y'all get with me. Talk to me on social media, or if you're listening on YouTube, leave it in the chat box below. I'd really like to just bounce ideas. So, okay, so we are moving on to 177. Okay, so this one's called A Wish. I don't know. Everything that I say about Matt Haig, I feel like I'm just like I just gush. Like, I can't help it. I mean, not him, but like his writing, because he's married and has kids. I'm not saying all that, but it's just his writing is just unreal to me, and I love it. But I'm just gonna read the highlighted part, because as I read this one, I highlighted. I so wish I could explain something to my younger self. I wish I could tell myself that it wasn't all me. I wish I could say that there were things I could do, because my anxiety, my depression wasn't just there. Illness, like injury, often has context. And that one, every time I read that, it makes me kind of want to cry a little bit, because there are so many chances that I didn't take growing up because I was scared, or the depression told me that I'm not good enough I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough to try those risks, take those chances. And I feel like there's a lot of friends that I missed out on, you know, even just staying in touch with a lot of them that I grew up with. I missed out on that because of anxiety. And so I do wish I could explain that to my younger self, just kind of shake her around a little bit and tell her the bullying is, it's, I don't even know, because I'm just trying not to cry, but the bullying is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. You are who you are, and you're going to come out of it. Just like every other obstacle that gets in your way, you're going to come out of it. So, yeah, got a little deep on you there. But I mean, y'all come up with something. Y'all come up with a wish for your younger self. But remember at the same time that your past is your past. Your now is your now. and your future could be even better than your now, but it's going to be a million times better than your past. I know that, you know? So, here is another one. I always say, I feel like I say it in pretty much every episode of the podcast now, but mental health is physical health. Because it just is. Because mental health is physical health. I mean, mental health is just as important as physical health, is what I meant. And now mental health is physical health because mental health has to do with our brains, which is physical, which means it is physical health, and physical health is health, which means, say it with me, health is health. You can just kind of do like a little triangle and just keep dwindling it down. Health is health. So, he says that a lot too. So he says, I feel we need to stop seeing mental and physical health as either or and more as a both and situation. There is no difference. We are mental, we are physical. We are not split up into unrelated sections. We are not an I can never say this word right. I'm sorry. Existential. I said that wrong again. Department store. We are everything at once. We are everything at once because health is health. So I just wanted to add that in there. It doesn't really have anything to do with, the topic, I guess, the theme of the show. But we are moving on to the last one. And this is something that I am going to start preaching more. I did it, in the past, but it's like, okay, when you're transparent about your depression or your anxiety, and actually, I'm paraphrasing Matt Haig's own quote, actually. When you talk about your depression and your anxiety, you're pretty much chalked up to be just this miserable person. But in reality, you are more in tune with yourself than even other people might be or might not be. I am not a miserable person just because I'm open about my depression and anxiety. I am just a very transparent person. And I feel no shame in that either. I think a lot of people think that I feel shame in that, and I just don't. A lot of people have deleted me off of Facebook that just didn't want to hear it, but it's who I am. And if you like me, great. If you don't like me, that's fine too, But I'm not going to stop talking about depression and anxiety and everything else, just mental illness as a whole, just because one person is uncomfortable with it. The people that are uncomfortable with it are the ones that need to be educated the most. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to educate. I'm not trying to get sympathy for my own problems or for Susie May and Johnny Boy's problems. Like, I can assure you, none of us need the sympathy. We just want you to understand us a little bit more, I guess, and understand other people too, like celebrities. There are things going on with Kanye West right now, and it breaks my heart to see people just laughing at him. They're just laughing. And I know that dude is just not, I mean, I don't want to say he's a bad person. I don't know him. But to just laugh at somebody when you see that they're in a mental crisis is pretty scummy, I guess. I'll just say it like that. It's pretty scummy. Like, that's not cool. It's not cool. So I'll read what Matt Haig wrote. Being transparent about all this stuff is to be comfortable, and it's to be transparent, and it's to bring awareness and education to those that may not know anything about it. I've had a couple people come up and tell me that they didn't know anything about, say, something like social anxiety, and they're a little more educated about it now. I mean, people just thought I was super shy growing up, even myself and even my parents. But when we learned that it was social anxiety, it just made absolute, total 100% sense, you know? So, okay. So, last thing from the book: to be comfortable with yourself, to know yourself, requires creating some inner space where you can find yourself, away from a world that often encourage you to lose yourself. So, pretty much my interpretation of that is people don't want you to talk about depression. They don't want you to talk about the anxiety or the bipolar or the eating disorder, but who cares what they think? Like, frankly, like, really, like, who cares what they think? You talk about it if you feel like it can bring education. You talk about it if you feel like it can help your own situation. And you talk about it for the other people that aren't quite to the point where you are of feeling comfortable enough to talk about it. Hopefully, one day they'll get there. But until then, the rest of us can be their voice. And, you know, in a way, social media helps with that. You know, the whole episode has been about how bad social media is, how bad the news is, but when we can use it for the good and to be voices for our fellow human beings that don't feel like, you know, like I said, like they don't feel like they have that voice yet, then absolutely 100% social media can be done for good. And I think that's the ultimate reason why I'm still on it, because I try my best to do my part in, you know, spreading awareness and reducing the stigma and educating, and I use it for that. But I'm not a perfect person, and I use it for, you know, selfish reasons too. But I'm getting better, and I hope that we all get better. Social media should be a fun experience. Just, you know, connecting with old friends and connecting with family that live out of state or even out of country. You know, connecting with your old high school buddies, and I mean, it can be a good thing, but here lately, I guess it's been super bad. So yeah, I mean, I really, really do hope that y'all go pick this book up. It's totally worth it. I love just how deep he gets into it, and he's got a lot more examples in there that I just didn't think I could cover. So, you know, excuse me again. Sorry. It's it's a rough world out there, but if we can just start treating each other like human, stop bashing each other, stop cyberbullying, and learn to love ourselves, not based on what other people are doing, then what do we got to lose? You know, if we can try, it wouldn't be a waste, you know? That's just my thoughts, but thank y'all for tuning in. I kind of went a bit longer than I expected, but I thank y'all for sticking in there and listening and just being awesome as always. Um, you know, I'm loving every minute of doing this podcast. I really, really am. It's not going away anytime soon, and I'm just really excited for its future. So, if you want to be a guest, I'm totally open to that. Just contact me on social media. You can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Written by Ali V, or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at BT Illness Pod. Just however, it doesn't matter to me because I run all those social medias. So just let me know. I'd love to just kind of bounce some ideas and just kind of talk about talk about this kind of stuff. It's so interesting, and having having this outlet to put this out. I mean, that's another thing is we've got these podcasts, and a lot of them just, I mean, they're for entertainment purposes, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, I will stop talking y'all's ears off now. Next week we'll be back next Friday, and I'm gonna be moving into movies. That was the last book I was gonna review, and I am gonna be talking about The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And I love that movie. If you haven't watched it, it's actually on Netflix streaming right now. So if you want to watch it before I kind of talk through it and all that stuff, like totally do that. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, all time. So I really want to just kind of dig into it, and we'll do that. We'll do that next week. And yeah, I just thank y'all for listening, and I will talk to y'all next week. Hey everyone, it's Allie V. Thank you so much for all the support and listening to my podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, please do me a favor and leave the podcast a review. If you would like to be featured in a voice review or become a financial supporter, go to anchor.fm/btillnesspod. You can also go to my website, writtenbyalliev.com, for more information.